Everything is more expensive. We had bought some water and Gatorade, just one each last night. It was almost $25.
Las Vegas has always been a place where you expect to spend money. That's part of the charm. You go for the lights, the shows, the atmosphere, the whole escape from reality experience. Nobody expects a Vegas trip to be cheap. But what's happening now is something different, something bigger, something that's making even lifelong Vegas lovers say the one phrase this city never expected to hear: we're never coming back. And here's the thing, this isn't coming from broke tourists, or people who didn't budget properly, or people who just had one bad experience. These are everyday Americans, families, couples, retired folks, longtime Vegas regulars, people who know what Vegas used to be and cannot believe what it has turned into. What pushed them over the edge wasn't just the prices, although the prices are insane. It's the feeling that Vegas is actively taking advantage of them. That $25 bottle of water isn't just overpriced, it feels hostile. That $12 coffee isn't just a luxury, it feels insulting. That $17 beer isn't just expensive, it feels like the city is laughing at you while you hand over your credit card. And the moment tourists start to feel disrespected, not valued, not welcomed, not appreciated, that's when the relationship breaks. Vacation destinations survive on emotional value. People return to places that make them feel good. And right now, Vegas is making people feel used. Nothing highlighted this more than the jaw-dropping moment when MGM CEO Bill Hornbuckle openly admitted that the company went too far.
On a call with analysts, he said, "When we think about pricing and things that got everyone's attention, whether it was the infamous bottle of water or a Starbucks coffee at Excalibur that cost $12, shame on us."
That's not speculation. That's the top man in charge saying the quiet part out loud. This isn't an accident. It's a strategy, one that finally blew up in the casino's faces. And the tourists in that interview were not outliers. Their stories represent a growing wave of visitors who feel betrayed by a city they once loved. Vegas hasn't just raised prices. Vegas has finally gone too far.
Michael Davenport and his friends are visiting from Nebraska. I asked what items they believe are priced too high.
I paid $15 to $17 for a 16-ounce can of beer. Budweiser, we could buy a whole case for that, but I paid for it.
Why did you pay for it?
Because I had to. You're here.
Want to have a good time?
Yeah, you want to have a good time.
Part 2. How Vegas broke the value formula. To understand why tourists are quitting Vegas in such high numbers, you must understand the old Vegas formula, the unwritten agreement that defined the city for decades. For most of Vegas's history, the business model was simple. Make everything affordable so people stay longer, gamble more, and leave happy. Rooms? Cheap. Food? Cheap. Drinks? Practically free. Buffets? Legendary bargains. Shows? A fraction of what they'd cost anywhere else. Vegas wasn't just a destination, it was the destination, where even budget travelers were treated like kings. That wasn't generosity, it was strategy. Casino revenue made up the difference. As long as guests were comfortable and excited, they'd play longer, spend more, and brag about Vegas when they got home. But then something happened. The Strip became corporate. Mom-and-pop casinos disappeared, replaced by mega operators, MGM, Caesars, Wynn, Resorts World, publicly traded companies with shareholders demanding bigger and bigger returns. That's when the entire formula flipped. Instead of rooms being a loss leader, they became a profit center. Instead of cheap buffets, they introduced celebrity chef restaurants, charging $70 per person. Instead of comped drinks, they raised cocktail prices to $20 to $30 and made bartenders use digital monitoring systems to stop free pours. Instead of friendly rewards, they slashed comps, tightened perks, and increased thresholds. And the result? Vegas became more expensive than New York, Miami, Chicago, and even some international destinations. But here's the real kicker. Vegas prices rose while the experience got worse. Lines are longer, service is slower, rooms are smaller, fees are everywhere. Resort fees now exceed the cost of the nightly room rate in many cases. Parking, once a symbol of true Vegas hospitality, free and easy, now costs more than a meal. And tourists are noticing. In that interview, the Nebraska tourists nailed it perfectly. They weren't just upset about a $17 Budweiser, they were upset because Vegas made them feel like they had no choice. Why did you pay for it? Because I had to. You're here, you want to have a good time. That's the crack in the relationship. When Vegas relies on tourists feeling cornered instead of welcomed, the magic disappears. Vegas didn't gradually raise prices, it systematically broke the value formula that made millions fall in love with the city. And tourists are finally calling it out.
Jane and Jerry Langley are here visiting from Arkansas.
It's expensive. So, the food is just outrageous.
It's about $60 for two to eat every meal.
Part 3. The psychological breaking point. The most dangerous mistake any business or city can make is assuming that customers are infinite, that no matter what you charge, no matter how you treat them, they'll keep coming back. And for years, Vegas relied on that assumption. But customer loyalty has a breaking point. What pushed tourists over that edge wasn't one overpriced meal or one hidden fee. It was the constant accumulation of stress, annoyance, and unexpected charges. Vacations are supposed to feel freeing. Vegas used to feel exciting, welcoming, larger than life. But now, tourists feel tricked at every turn. They walk into a restaurant expecting a normal lunch bill. They walk out $147 poorer. They book a $39 room, then see $45 in fees added at checkout. They get a cocktail and find out it's $28. They buy 2 coffees and owe $24. And these aren't luxuries. These are basic things. It's not the price itself that breaks people. It's the psychological fatigue of constantly being charged more than feels fair. Once tourists feel like they're being played, they emotionally unplug from the destination. They start counting every dollar. They stop gambling. They stop having fun. They stop seeing Vegas as a treat and start seeing it as a bill. The Arkansas couple from the interview represents millions of American tourists. They're not poor. They're not unreasonable. They're just tired of being drained. Their honest, weary reaction said everything. It's just too much. Not angry, not dramatic, just exhausted. And exhaustion is a death sentence for a tourism city. When guests feel exhausted, they don't just leave unhappy, they refuse to return. The psychological breaking point isn't about money, it's about respect. When tourists feel that Vegas no longer respects their budget, their time, or their experience, they leave emotionally. And once someone leaves emotionally, their body won't be far behind.
Part 4. Americans versus foreign tourists, a new divide. A tourist from Ireland said she didn't find Vegas expensive at all. She smiled. She was relaxed. She was having fun. People from the UK and Australia echoed the same thing. Vegas didn't feel surprising or outrageous to them. So why is this happening? Why are Americans furious while foreign tourists shrug? The answer is simple. Vegas isn't built for Americans anymore. International tourists are used to high prices. They live in cities where coffee is $7 to $9, beer is $10 to $14, meals are $25 to $30 per person, and hotels routinely charge added fees. In places like London, Sydney, Melbourne, and Dublin, Vegas prices aren't shocking. They're expected. Plus, long-haul travelers tend to budget for expensive vacations. A $12 coffee isn't going to ruin their trip when they've already spent $1,200 on flights. But for Americans, it feels like betrayal because Americans know what Vegas used to cost. They remember cheap buffets, $3 beers, affordable steak dinners, hotel rooms under $50, generous comps, free parking, friendly service, a sense of value. Foreign tourists see Vegas as a glamorous, once-in-a-lifetime destination, But Americans see Vegas as a place that used to be for them and isn't anymore. That difference in expectation is creating a new divide. Foreign tourists are replacing locals and middle-class Americans, and the casinos know it. That's why the Strip is aggressively marketed overseas while domestic frustration is ignored. But here's where it backfires. If Americans stop visiting Vegas, the entire U.S. tourism ecosystem collapses. International travelers cannot fill that gap. Vegas was built by regular Americans, and now the city is pushing them out, intentionally or not. The divide is real, and it's growing.
Raised in Vegas content creator Heather Collins talked with me about what she's seeing.
Those tourists are the reason why the casino dealers and the waitresses are able to live. So if there's no tourists, they're not making money, our economy is going to start crashing. And I really think a problem is the prices these casinos are charging to go to their properties.
Part 5. Collateral damage. Vegas workers. When tourists stop visiting Vegas, it doesn't just affect casinos. It affects people, real people. The dealers who rely on tips, the waitresses who depend on busy nights to pay rent, the bartenders who survive off consistent foot traffic, the hotel housekeepers who need full occupancy to get enough hours, the taxi drivers, bus drivers, valets, cooks, performers, all of whom rely on tourists. Vegas isn't like other cities. Its economy isn't diverse or flexible. There is no plan B. Tourists aren't just part of the economy, they are the economy. So when tourists are unhappy, when they're complaining, when they're hesitant to return, the first people who get hurt aren't executives. They're the workers. The woman interviewed in the news segment said it plainly and painfully. If there's no tourists, our economy is going to start crashing. And she's not exaggerating. Because here's the truth. The mega corporations can afford to lose money. Employees cannot. When corporations squeeze tourists dry with higher prices, they're gambling with the livelihood of their own workers. And ironically, the workers feel ashamed when tourists complain. They hear the frustration, they see the eye rolls, they feel the awkwardness when someone gets a bill and freezes. They know the city has become unaffordable, and they can't do anything about it. Many locals avoid the Strip entirely. They say it openly. The Strip isn't for us, it's for tourists. But now, the tourists are saying they don't want to be there either. That's a dangerous combination. Because if Vegas loses tourists and locals at the same time, there is no fallback. This is why the workers are worried. They know the casinos messed up. They know corporate greed is pushing people away. And they know the downside is coming for them, not the billionaires. Tourists quitting Vegas doesn't just mean empty rooms. It means human consequences. And workers are sounding the alarm first.
Part 6. Vegas is quietly panicking. When Vegas panics, they never say the word panic. They call it something else. Price corrections, adjustments, experience improvements, strategic modifications. But make no mistake, the casinos are very, very worried. You don't hear the CEO of MGM say, "Shame on us," unless something is seriously wrong. This wasn't a random apology. It wasn't a PR stunt. It was damage control. Because the warning signs are everywhere. A summer tourism slump, a drop in Canadian visitors, flight cancellations affecting traffic, lower than expected occupancy, guests spending less per trip, higher complaints about pricing, a growing online backlash, and the biggest red flag of all, repeat visitors saying they're done with Vegas. When a city loses casual tourists, that's recoverable. But when it loses its loyal base, the people who return every year, who know the casinos, who bring friends and family, that's catastrophic. And guess who's been sounding the alarm? Not influencers, not critics, not disgruntled locals, the tourists themselves. The ones in your interview clip weren't angry or dramatic. They were calm. They were honest. They were disappointed. Disappointment is far more dangerous than outrage. Outrage is emotional. It blows over. Disappointment is rational. It creates lasting change. And Vegas knows it. That's why MGM price corrected, why restaurants quietly adjusted menus, why certain resorts temporarily reduced fees, why certain mid-tier casinos have started offering more budget deals again. They're trying to put toothpaste back in the tube, but that's nearly impossible. Once a tourist feels ripped off, you have to give them a reason to trust you again. Vegas isn't offering that. Not yet. Instead, they're offering mild price tweaks while keeping the same profit-driven mentality. It won't be enough. 2025 might be the year Vegas realizes that tourist patience, like their wallets, is not infinite.
Prices on the Strip have been a concern for months. It's something I talked about with visitors in my Las Vegas reality check reporting on the summer tourism slump. Many told me they're staying on the Strip, but they prefer to go into downtown Las Vegas during the day because the prices there on things like drinks at bars are a lot better.
Part 7. Will Vegas change, or is this the new normal? As more tourists publicly say they're done with Las Vegas, the question becomes, can the city actually fix this? Or is Vegas stuck on a path it can't undo? Let's look at the reality. For Vegas to truly win back tourists, it would have to restore value, real value. Not coupon books, not temporary discounts, not half-hearted promotions. True value, the way the city used to provide it. That means affordable food options, transparent pricing, lower fees, better comps, friendlier service, reasonable resort fees, free parking, and most importantly, a feeling that the guest comes first. Right now, Vegas is doing the opposite. But here's the part that the executives can't ignore. Tourists are recalibrating. They're comparing Vegas to cruises, all-inclusive resorts, other U.S. cities, Caribbean islands, Mexico, Europe, ski towns, beach towns, and increasingly, Vegas doesn't win that comparison. When tourists say things like, "I'll shop for more economical hotels," that's not just advice, that's a warning. They're no longer loyal to the Strip, they're no longer committed to certain casinos, they're no longer willing to accept Vegas as the default vacation. The pandemic reshaped travel. Inflation reshaped expectations. Corporate greed reshaped Vegas. Now, tourists are reshaping their choices. If Vegas wants those tourists back, they will need to earn them back, something this city hasn't had to do for decades. And will they? Maybe, but probably not soon. Because as long as corporations see short-term profit spikes from high prices, they will continue pushing them. And each push alienates more of the people who built Vegas into the tourism giant it is today. The truth is simple. You cannot charge luxury prices for a shrinking, overcrowded, understaffed, fee-heavy experience and expect people to keep smiling. Vegas forgot this, but tourists haven't. If anything, tourists are more informed than ever, watching YouTube reviews, TikTok walkthroughs, Reddit threads, and countless complaint videos. They see the scams, they see the fees, they see the decline. And now, in 2025, they're speaking with their wallets. The question isn't whether Vegas can change. The question is whether Vegas wants to. Because if it doesn't, the tourists who once filled every casino, every restaurant, every bar, every show, the people who made Vegas what it is today, will be the ones who never return.
Tourists aren't quitting Las Vegas because they hate the city. They're quitting because the city stopped caring about them. Vegas once made everyone feel special. Now it makes them feel exploited. Once, Vegas offered value. Now it offers fees. Once, Vegas rewarded loyalty. Now it drains wallets. Once, Vegas was for the people. Now it's for the corporations. And as more tourists share their stories, as more headlines go viral, as more interviews expose the real sentiment of the people who actually spend money in this city, Vegas faces a crossroads. Will it return to the formula that made it great? Or will it double down on the greed that's driving people away? Only time will tell. But if the interviews coming out of Vegas are any indication, 2025 may be the year regular people finally say, "We're never coming back."